Hello my friends. Agriculture is not only affected by weather factors such as drought or flood. Farmers and ranchers in the United States must also suffer damage from animals such as wild boar, white-tailed deer, coyotes, and wild turkeys. If you live in the suburbs and countryside of Texas or California, chances are you will see deer and wild boars leaving the woods and heading towards the garden in search of food. Although they may seem innocent, they are known to be two of the most destructive wildlife species. In addition, coyotes are also the most annoying predators for cattle ranchers. According to a report by farmers in Texas and California in 2021, wild boar cost them about $1.7 billion. In particular, the vegetable production industry in California has suffered about $650 million in damage caused by wildlife. This is a herd of wild boar in the city of San Antonio, in the south of Texas. In recent years, Texas has always been the state with the largest number of wild boar in the country, with about 3.5 to 4 million heads, accounting for nearly half of the country's wild boar population. Female wild boars usually start breeding when they are 6 months old. Each year, a female wild boar usually has 1 litter, and the number of piglets born is about 10 to 15. With the ability to reproduce quickly and adapt well, the number of wild boar in the United States has always remained high, even though millions of pigs are killed each year by hunters across the country. Currently, in addition to Texas, wild boar is also very popular in states such as Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Southern California. It is estimated that each year this animal causes agricultural losses across the country of about $2.7 billion. Although they are wild animals and often live hidden in the forests, the herds of wild boar do not hesitate to head to the fields when they discover there is an abundant food source. Large fields of corn, vegetables, or wheat are often the favorite destinations for wild boar herds. They can even hide and destroy crops there for weeks before leaving. Imagine what would happen if a herd of about 25 wild boars visited your corn farm and stayed there for 1 week. Considered an invasive species and extremely harmful to agriculture, in the United States, wild boar is considered an unprotected animal. Most states in the United States encourage people to trap and hunt wild boar without a limit to minimize their impact on agriculture. After being trapped, these wild boars will be killed by humans before being brought home to be processed or sold to restaurants. It is estimated that every year between 2.5 and 3 million wild boars are killed by hunters. However, this does not reduce the number of invasive species because their ability to reproduce and adapt is very good. Many farmers even kill dozens of wild boar and do not bother to pick up their carcasses, just because they are so used to wild boar meat. In addition to wild boar, coyotes are also one of the most annoying animals for ranchers in the United States. Today, coyotes are found in every state of the United States except for Hawaii, and there is almost no animal in the United States better adapted to changing conditions than this one. Female coyotes normally become pregnant when they reach 1 year old, and the gestation period lasts just 2 months. Thanks to the ability to adapt to extremely good living conditions and few natural enemies, the number of coyotes in the United States has always increased rapidly. According to estimates by the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, California is home to the largest number of coyotes, with about 750,000 creatures. This number may actually be much different in reality, because the ability of this animal to reproduce is very good. Coyotes spend most of the day roaming the forests, and at nighttime is usually the time when they go foraging. This is also the time when many coyotes come close to livestock farms to feed. Their food is usually small rodents and the carcasses of dead animals. In addition, it is not uncommon for coyotes to attack and kill farm animals. According to USDA statistics, each year in the United States, about 117,000 livestock animals are killed by coyotes. This is also the wild animal that is responsible for the most loss of life. To limit the impact of coyotes on agriculture and to prevent population explosions of this species, most states allow the hunting of this animal for 12 months of the year. Each year, hunters in the US kill about 550,000 coyotes, and most coyotes killed live fairly close to livestock farms. When it comes to animals that damage US agriculture, the white-tailed deer cannot be ignored. Even more, the damage caused by this animal to American farmers is greater than wild boar. Currently, there are about 36.7 million deer living in the United States, of which the number of white-tailed deer accounts for 81%. Basically, the behavior of white-tailed deer is quite similar to wild boar. They usually spend most of their time wandering in the forests. When spotted next to the living areas where there are fields or crops, the white deer will not miss the opportunity to feed. According to USDA estimates, in June 2022, white-tailed deer cost US agriculture about $2.5 billion. This species is responsible for 58% of crop losses and 33% of vegetable loss across the country. In addition, the white-tailed deer is also the cause of hundreds of traffic accidents each year across the country. According to estimates by the National Deer Association, about 6.1 white-tailed deer are killed by hunters across the country each year, making it the most hunted animal in the United States. Hello my friends, today we are going to visit New York, the third most populous state in the US, to see how farming and livestock work in this state. When it comes to the state of New York, we often think of the most modern city in the United States, with about 8.5 million people living and working there. However, New York is also one of the states with a fairly developed agricultural industry, with about 7.1 million acres of land used for farming and livestock. Famous agricultural products of this state are milk, cattle, calves, corn, and many other fruits. According to statistics, in 2021, in New York, there are about 33,000 farms and 753 farmers markets in operation. Of that, 34% of the state's farms are concentrated in the Finger Lake area, which is considered the agricultural center of the state. We are currently on a dairy farm in Wyoming County, western New York State. It is home to more than 300 adult dairy cows. Every morning, these dairy cows will be herded to the pasture right next to the farm to freely feed for about 3 hours. Currently, in New York, there are about 3,500 dairy farms in operation, and the number of dairy cows in the state is about 626,000 heads. Every day, each adult dairy cow will need to eat about 25 to 35 pounds of fresh grass to maintain milk production. In addition, other foods such as grain will also be used when they return to the farm. In the late afternoon, hundreds of dairy cows will be herded to the sheltered area, where they will be fed more roughage and grain. This is the milking process at another dairy farm in New York. Here, about 800 dairy cows will be milked within 3.5 hours. Each dairy cow here usually produces between 6 to 8 gallons of milk per day. Once the milking process is complete, millions of pounds of milk will be transported to a factory about 3 miles away for processing and bottling before being sold on the market. With nearly 4,000 dairy farms in operation, each year New York produces about 15.7 billion pounds of milk, and it is also the 4th largest milk producing state in the country. In addition, the dairy industry in the state also creates about 27,000 jobs each year. Next, we'll go to a duck egg farm in New York's Genesee district, which is home to more than 400 ducks in the egg harvesting stage. Currently, there are about 87 active duck farms in New York, with about 1.3 million ducks. The majority of ducks here are raised in the state for the purpose of egg harvesting. With a nutritious diet, each duck at this farm can lay between 215 and 240 eggs per year. According to statistics, in 2021, in the United States, there will be about 31.3 million ducks raised for meat and eggs. In particular, the majority of duck farms across the country are concentrated in 2 states, Wisconsin and Indiana. Goodbye ranchers, we're going to a large cornfield in New York's Orange County to see how the harvest of corn goes on. Today, corn is the state's main crop, with about 1.1 million acres planted annually, making New York the 17th state in the nation in terms of corn acreage. In New York, sweet corn is not as popular as in Florida or California. Instead, the bulk of corn production in the state is grain and silage. Annual sales of corn silage in New York is around $313 million, and corn makes up 60% of dairy feed in the state. When it comes to farms in New York, we cannot ignore apple farms because this is the second largest apple growing state in the United States, second only to Washington. Currently, in New York, there are about 700 apple farms of different sizes in operation, and each year the apple harvest from this state is about 613,000 tons. Farewell to the farms of Western New York State. We now go to a farm in Ballston Lake area to see how farmers produce millions of tons of peas here. Peas were amongst the first crops grown and harvested in New York. New York farmers harvest about 17,000 acres for peas each year. In New York, farmers will plant pea seeds outdoors in early to mid-April. Peas are commonly grown in fields ranging from 20 to 100 acres. November every year is usually the time when peas are harvested in this state. With these state-of-the-art harvesting machines, farmers here can harvest around 18,000 pounds of peas per hour. Once harvested, New York peas are usually shipped to the factory to be processed into frozen peas.